Hello and welcome to Mountain Valley Today. My name is David Holt and we're certainly glad that you've joined us today. You can watch Mountain Valley Today at mountainvalleynewspaper.com. You can also watch it on FTC TV Channel 6, and that comes on every Thursday at 6 o'clock. And also WFPA, and that's played live at 6 o'clock on Thursdays. You can listen to it. And today I'd like to welcome Superintendent Hugh Taylor. Mr. Taylor, thanks for coming and being with us.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to start in and talk to him for a little while, and we hope you'll stay with us. First of all, Mr. Taylor, tell us about you. Just tell us about your heart and your vision and who you are.
Yes, sir. Well, I guess just a small biography just to go back. I was born and raised right here in Rainsville, Alabama, son of Urias and Brenda Taylor. Graduated from Plainview School in 1989. Went on and finished up my education degree in physical education in Athens, and then went on from there, did an add-on in biology, got that endorsement, and then later on, after about 5 years into education, around 2002, I've got my administrator certificate at JSU. I spent the first part of my career starting in 1997 at Fife High School. I taught and coached, and when you're non-tenured, you do everything they ask you to do. So I coached a lot of ball, coached golf and basketball and football, and of course I was the prom sponsor. And
been there.
had a lot of duties that I was responsible for, and so I did that from '97 until Valentine's Day, which is almost an anniversary for me. 2006, and so I went from there to being the principal head administrator at Ruhama from 2006 until I was elected in 2012. So I took office as a superintendent January 1st, 2013, and been doing that ever since. My wife is Jennifer Hicks Taylor, the daughter of Dennis and Sandra Hicks. We have 5 children, Lily, Annabelle, Bo, Maggie, and Zeke. And we go to church and worship at Antioch Baptist Church.
Well, that's great. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yes, sir.
I know my next question was why you want to be superintendent. So I'm going to alter that just a little and say, why would you like to continue your job as superintendent?
David, I feel like from the first time that I was elected, it was a calling on my life. Revelation chapter 3 tells me that God can open doors that no man can shut, and He can shut doors that no man can open. And I do feel that He opened this door for me. And because of that and what I owe Him back, I feel like that I serve with great passion the children of DeKalb County. I had a vision for the school system, which is to build champions. And I know when I was growing up, I had dreams and hopes and aspirations, and I want to help those kids that have been under my tutelage, that I would be able to inspire them to become a champion in whatever it is that they're interested in. So to be able to take my experiences from the local level, down from a teacher to being a coach to being a principal, all those experiences are things that have grown dear to my heart, that makes me want to inspire young children to be successful adults.
Well, thank you. That's good, and I like the especially building champions. That's a great logo that we have on our website. Tell me some qualifications that you possess that you think help you do the job effectively and efficiently.
David, I go back. I hate to beat it down, but I take my experiences being a teacher, getting to know those children, being inside the classroom and seeing those children when the light bulb comes on, when they really get it and understand. I don't know that there's a greater joy for a teacher to see a child that actually gets a standard or understands an idea and becomes a problem solver for themselves. And then seeing the aspect of extracurricular activities as a coach, to see the success and the results that come from hard work and discipline that our students that they go through here in DeKalb County. We put a lot of emphasis on athletics, and we've had a lot of success in those realms. As a principal, being a leader over teachers, I feel like that we have a great staff here in DeKalb County. I feel like we've got some of the best in the state and in the nation. I'm proud to serve, and sitting alongside you makes me think that you're one of the best that I've ever seen, and I appreciate you. But taking those things and knowing that the qualifications, the things that I would do, if you were interviewing me to be the superintendent and we were going to appoint a superintendent, I would want to look at your experience and your accomplishments. And I feel like my accomplishments serve as qualifications. We've taken our finances to the next level. When I came in, August of 2012, right before the election, we were sitting at $3.8 million. The state had required 1 month's operating expense be set aside, and that was 4.6. We were $800,000 in a deficit for that, what was required. We finished up this fiscal year at the end of September 2015. We finished at $6.5 million. So we've grown, and so the operating expense is now $5 million. So we have a $1.5 million surplus. Taking those things, I think that shows adequate ability to be able to run the show, to do the job. I look at all the other things we've done, the technology, the Connecting Champions Learning Initiative, trying to get devices in kids' hands, the school safety, the lockdown app that we've been talking about, putting an SRO in every school. Looking at, and people say, well, you've been fiscally conservative, but we've built buildings at the same time. We've built Collinsville New High School. That was $1.7 million. We've just started a project with Crossville High School at $3.1 million. And we've upgraded grandstands at Fife and Sylvania that was $1 million. A mold remediation at Valley Head that was $1 million. And so we've not just been sticking our hands in the pockets and just not spending the money. We've just prioritized our spending. Right. And because of that, I believe that those things, the things that we've been able to accomplish, make great qualifications. Doing the job for 3+ years, I feel like that having that experience would give me the opportunity to have the opportunity to do this again for another 4 years.
Well, finances are a huge part of the job as superintendent, and it sounds like we've come to continuing to move forward with that, and that sounds great.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'd like to talk about all the good stuff, but I will say the next question I want to talk to you about, we all have weaknesses in our lives, and for me personally, I try to hide those and compensate for those all the time. So what would you say would be one of your greatest weaknesses that you have to work on personally in your second term as superintendent?
Sure. And I think I've heard this from more than one place, but I feel like communication has been a downfall of mine. And I think coming into the system, there was so much to do. The assistant superintendent decided he was going to retire when Mr. Warren didn't come back, and so I had a spell there without an assistant, so I felt like I was really doing two jobs. And so I just put my nose to the grindstone. I made the kids my main priority, and I focused on that. I probably should have focused more on returning calls and being media friendly, but I'm not a politician, and I won't apologize for that. I want to do what's best for kids. I'm kind of a little bit like Nick Saban. I'm not very camera friendly, and so I just take my job, and I'm hoping with opportunity to serve again that I can build relationships with the media and try to clearly communicate the vision that we have for our children.
It is difficult. I can say as an elected official, media balancing and communication is oftentimes difficult because you don't want to say the wrong thing.
Right.
But you have to be careful what you do actually say.
That's right. It could be translated and completely taken out of context, so it's really...
And in our society today, that's done quite often, especially with presidential politics.
That's right.
So I understand that. Well, athletics is a great part of high school, the experience. I've been a tennis coach, and you've done other things in the coaching realm. How do you feel about the priority it seems to take over academics? And, do you think we're on a level playing field, or is there I'll just leave that open.
I think there's a delicate balance, an approach that we should take, that athletics shouldn't be the main priority. Academics, certainly. I look back at myself as being an example. Coming out of school, I just thought I was always going to play ball. it never dawned on me that I was going to have a job one day. And so I take that to understand that, our children need to get a good education, and it should be the first priority. But there's that balance. I see it in my own children. Lily and Annabelle, my two oldest children, go to 5, and I see them juggling that act now. Playing ball, whether it's volleyball, basketball, or softball, and then trying to take care of their studies and the classes that they take. And of course, they're all wanting to excel and get into dual enrollment classes and prepare themselves for college and career. So I see that, but there's things I don't want to totally negate, but all extracurricular activities, including athletics, gives us the opportunity to build skills. And so I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, with the dishwater. And so what we look at is there's the ability to learn teamwork. There's that leadership capacity that is an intangible that the kids learn out there on the court or on the football field. There's so many things like that. What we want to do is produce a well-rounded student that's highly successful and that is productive. And we go back to our vision, and that's building champions. We want our kids to excel and be able to overcome things that may be seemingly impossible and just be the top of what they do, be the best.
Well, my philosophy has always been there's a great balance if you can get people to work together.
That's right.
Especially in the small schools, and just had that happen just recently with a coach at Plainview and a beta activity, and right. We came to an agreement to work together, and that's what we all ought to be doing, is trying to work together and have a good balance. Okay. I want to change gears just a little bit. The career and technical education is a huge focus and a huge plus, not only from the legislative side, but also from our business community. So tell me your thoughts about our place across the road, the Technology Center, and where you think we're headed, and we're in the right direction.
Okay. Yeah, I think looking at it, it is such a huge focus by the state, and I'm excited to see the direction that we're going in, and Dr. Bias and how he has embraced this college and career readiness. It's fun to watch our children over there and see the success that they have out of that place. Right now, I think during my tenureship, we have had 20% increase in enrollment. I think the enrollment is an all-time high right now. We have added staff. Our graduation rate, we just got that back last week. Of course, we've just got a new career tech director, Jonathan Phillips, doing a great job, great advocate for those children over there. But our graduation rate is at 92% for career tech students. Just the state average is 88. So right. We're exceeding above the state average, and I'm excited about that. Also, we have secured partnerships with Volkswagen and Toyota, and we've got some things coming up that we're really excited about. One program, a couple, I guess, that we're looking forward to is the criminal justice program. We have found funding for a teacher for the first year of it. We also have looked at media production, maybe even using this studio because it's so close to our campus. So seeing those things, look back over there, we have an outstanding staff. I think the current staff right now that's in place, we have 38 state champions. And that's anything from nursing to masonry to welding to auto body. I'm going to leave somebody out. Cosmetology. There's so many over there, and they excel at what they do. And our students, they blend well, and they've learned those skills, and they've learned the soft skills. And so to see the program and see where it's going, I'm excited about that. I think we've even had several that's placed nationally. So what we do it really well, and I'm proud of our Career Tech Center, and I hope that we continue the success that we've been having over there.
Well, I can tell you, as one of the newest faculty members over there, I'm having a ball. And one of the things I'm most impressed about is when those students get there in the morning, they go straight to those classrooms, and you don't hear a peep out of them. They're all engaged in learning whatever program that they're in. They're excited about being there.
That's right.
And that's a neat program.
Sure.
Neat program.
It is.
Well, let me throw a curveball at you, because sometimes, as I said before, we try to hide and put on our best face. I know that sometimes when we come to church in the car, we might be fussing with one another, but when we get out and shut the door, we're so glad to be here. You may not be that way, but I've experienced that. But what is something about you that nobody knows about Hugh Taylor that you'd like for them to know?
Okay. I guess one thing that I guess is kind of just a neat fact about me is I have my real estate license.
Okay.
In 1992, I had just graduated. My mother had come down with breast cancer, and I was in and out of school and decided to get my license so I could help her in the office while she was taking treatments. And I learned a lot of valuable skills, learned how to be morally and ethically correct. She taught me how to run a business. I learned a lot about the real estate market, appraisals and buying and selling properties. And what's fun about that, and the funny thing is just this week we just closed on the bus garage deal. Mm-hmm. And so I took a lot of those skills that I learned from my mother and I've used it in this job. Being able to coordinate the selling of that property in Fort Payne and purchasing the property here in Rainsville that's connected to our Career Tech Center and being able to move that bus garage up here. Just taking those skills, and my license is on inactive, but I still love to dabble in it, and I'll look at sales papers occasionally. But that's kind of just an odd fact about Hugh, I guess, if you must.
That's really neat. Yeah. I may want to talk to you because I've always thought I wanted to dabble in that, but I've just been too busy doing other things. So that's really neat. Let me ask you this one: as the leader of one of the largest employers in our county, tell me how you have shown leadership working with the legislative delegation, because everything we have in the public schools, which people may not realize this, comes from the state legislature. That's right. Retirement benefits, the things we can offer, the school day, the lunch program, everything we have comes from somebody else.
Yes, sir.
So tell me about your leadership and your working ability with those gentlemen and ladies.
Looking at salaries, of course, I don't have enough political clout to be able to get all the teachers a pay raise in the state of Alabama. But we stay in consistent contact with our representatives and delegates, and we express our needs and desires. And, we look at our employees. We love for them to be getting what they deserve, and we like to look around and be competitive with other states so we can pull in the best teachers available on the market. And we do that by just looking at the cost of living and then sharing that with our delegates and legislator and senator and letting them know, how long it's been since we've had a raise, or right. And so we've looked at that. I think it's been 7 or 8 years since we've had a raise. But just staying in contact with the local reps, I think, is one of the big things, and consistently pushing those needs forward and letting them know where our people are at comparative to everyone else around the state and the surrounding states.
And it takes that good communication, talking to people, telling them what your needs are.
It does. Right when I took office, we had noticed that the nurses in our system, their salary schedule did not meet the state matrix, and we corrected that right off the bat. And one thing that we've done here just recently is we've met with the local secretaries, and we've looked at their salary schedule, and we've also looked at the CMP workers and make an adjustment and hopefully giving them a pay raise as well. So we're constantly working toward trying to keep the good employees we have and try and reimburse them for their time and their abilities and their skills and what they bring to the table for our schools. And so, constantly keep repeating ourselves and letting the legislator know, where our needs are at.
Well, and by and large, there's a lot of us that have been teaching close to 30, actually a little over 30, and the reason we're still here is because we still love it. And so we're doing something right to keep those veteran teachers like myself still employed and still wanting to come to work every day.
Amen.
Well, the other thing is education support professionals. So you mentioned that just a little bit about their wage, and a lot of them are working for the benefits of insurance. And I know one of the things that have come out of staying employed is being able to fight off privatization. Some systems have gone to that to try to cut costs. But in actuality, we don't really know if that's cutting the cost because they're just bringing an outside person in,
That's right.
as opposed to keeping someone locally who's invested in the school.
That's right.
So talk to me a little bit about the education for support professionals and your view of them and keeping privatization out.
Sure. Privatization, just looking at it, really the intent is to reduce payroll and contract labor, and so you don't have to pay those benefits. And I think this is a little bit of a reaction to the Affordable Health Care Act by President Obama. We've had to find ways to work around this kind of thing, and so I stand fully committed by my support workers. We don't want to contract that labor out. I think that takes, people look at that and it's like a flash in the pan because the liability is taken off you, the insurance and benefits is taken off you, and it seems like a great thing to do. But you also lose control of those employees as well. If you get a bad employee, you no longer have control of getting rid of those employees or who they hire as well, trying to find good employees. So there's that aspect of negativity that comes with that. So I'm fully committed to keeping our support and stand firm in that our support workers, that we keep them in our system. And part of that is because the fact that we have done such a good job with our finances, being fiscally conservative, we've been able to put ourselves in a great place that we can afford to keep our support workers. Continue to use good checkbook management. Don't spend it if you don't have it. And so we're able to continue to pay these salaries and keep the employees that we have. So I stand fully behind supporting our employees and support staff, and I am going to do all I can to fight to keep privatization out of the DeKalb County schools.
Well, and one thing I will say in addition to that is sometimes you see a much broader picture than an individual might see when they see the little piece.
Right.
And you're looking at a bigger puzzle.
That's right.
You got finances and a lot of other things to keep into play there.
That's right.
Let me just ask you a follow-up. We got just a few minutes left on our time today, and I want you to imagine that there is a voter out there that's sort of sitting on the fence. They're trying to decide, who do I need to vote for? And they've evidently seen your record for the year, but convince them that you're the one who needs to continue the vision you started, and sway them that you're the one.
I guess just by starting out, just having the ability to do the job, I'm so appreciative of my constituents that gave me that opportunity. I feel as though we've been very successful. I think we've taken our school system in the right direction. We're making forward progress, and we want to continue that with technology and bringing more into the classroom. I feel like we've got a great vision for our school system that's building champions. I feel like that success financially has been able to prove my record, that the promises we made to push career tech, to establish fair hiring practices, to be physically conservative, all of those things is proof in the pudding that I think that if a voter was sitting out there and they would want somebody to be a good steward, I think that they could look at the record that we've had in the last 3+ years and see that they've put the school system in good hands. So for those that I just ask for you to pray about your situation and decision that you have to make, because we want God in the middle of our school system. I want Him to be protective of our kids, and I just ask that they would prayerfully consider me as their choice.
Well, there's lots of exciting things going on in the DeKalb County Public Schools, and we appreciate your leadership. And ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you watching us on Mountain Valley today, and we hope you'll tell your friends about us. Again, if you don't catch us on Farmers Television, Channel 6, you can always find us online at mountainvalleynewspaper.com. Thank you again for staying with us today.
Schools deserve a voice, a person that will work tirelessly for them to ensure that our students and our schools have all the resources and materials and technologies that they need in order to be successful. As superintendent, I will work with local industry and businesses as well as local and statewide leaders to ensure that the resources that have for too long been going to other school districts will come home to DeKalb County to serve yours and my children's educational needs. I'm Jason Barnett, and you should expect more for your child's education.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Mountain Valley Today. I'm David Holt, and this is Dr. Jason Barnett, and we're so glad you joined us this afternoon. We're going to be talking with him as a candidate for Superintendent of the DeKalb County Board of Education. But before we do, let me remind you that you can watch this and other broadcasts just like it on FTC TV, and that's on Thursday evenings at 7:30. You can also listen on WFPA, and that's on Thursday evenings at 6 p.m., and also on WVSM, that's Friday mornings at 7:30. Or you can always look online at mountainvalleynewspaper.com. So thank you again for joining us, and Dr. Barnett, thank you for being with us today. We got a couple of questions we want to ask you, and we're going to jump right in and tell us who Jason Barnett is.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on here, Mr.
You're welcome.
I'm Jason Barnett, and I am running for Superintendent of Education here in DeKalb County. I was raised here in DeKalb County in the Powell community right outside of Brainsville. Of course, I graduated from Plainview High School. I'm the son of Philip and Karen Barnett. As I went through this campaign trail, so many folks have mentioned, my dad, he had a business here, and so a lot of folks knew him. And so that's where I grew up. I married the former Leah Sizemore, who's from Rainsville as well. We have two children. Layton is a kindergarten here at Plainview, and Porter is 3 years old. And
and I actually taught some of you guys in Baden. We've been on a couple of trips together, so I've known Jason for a while. But just tell the people and tell us, why in the world do you want to jump in the boat and be the superintendent of the DeKalb County Board of Education?
Well, there's a lot of reasons why I want to be superintendent, and I could go into a lot of detail, but today, just to be kind of brief and short, as an educational professional, I've had the fortunate opportunity to be around a lot of different people as I go through professional learning opportunities across the state and hear from superintendents and educators across the state. I also teach adjunct for Jacksonville State University in our educational leadership program, part-time, just one course a semester. But by doing that, I get to hear a lot of people who are involved in education across the state, not even just across the state, but outside the state, the southeast region, really. And I get to hear about some of the opportunities and resources and programs that they have to serve their students and the way they provide and prepare their students for life or college or vocation or whatever it may be. And I think, those are things that I would like for my students and my children, personal children, to have opportunities to. As I mentioned, I have two children that are going to be that one of them's already in kindergarten in the public school system. One will be here in a couple of years. And the opportunities that they have in their DeKalb County education, that's going to be their opportunities to educate. That's going to be their education. That's going to set them up for success in life, vocationally, academically, or whatever it may be. And so I think it's important that I want them to have every opportunity that every other student has, no matter where they attend school, whether it be across the state of Alabama or across the nation. And so I think those are a few reasons why I want to run. I want my children and our community to stay viable and have every opportunity they can to be successful.
Well, thank you very much. I know that some people may or may not know you have a doctorate in front of your name. So tell us about your qualifications to be the superintendent of the DeKalb County Board of Education.
Well, in terms of academic qualifications, I received my teaching license from Jacksonville State University. And then I went on to continue my education at Jacksonville State and got a master's degree in educational administration, which was the program at the time where you got your administrative licensure. Then I went on and continued there and got my educational specialist. I also served as a district-wide instructional coach. And then now I'm currently I'm actually a principal administrator at Collinswood in the DeKalb County School Systems. And as I've also mentioned, I teach at Jacksonville State University in their instructional leadership program now, where I help prepare principals for future leaders of the DeKalb County schools. As far as other qualifications, I'm a Jacksonville State Instructional Leadership Alumnus of the Year. That was a great accomplishment. I was very proud to receive that award. Based on my research at the University of Alabama, I received what they call a First Lecture Award, which was that they awarded to people who had contributed some information that was viable to help support ongoing education, improving education in today's schools. I won the Teacher of the Year award at Collinsville one year, so I'm very proud of that. As proud of that as anything. And I also serve on the Instructional Leadership Advisory Board for Jacksonville State University. So those are a few qualifications and accomplishments there?
I would say that's more than a few, but thank you for sharing all that. I sort of got tired as you were rattling through the list there. As you're coming into the superintendent's role, or if you're fortunate enough to do that, what's your number one priority of something to continue or something that you want to change? You know, I know you have a vision of what you want to do, but what's the number one thing you'd like for us to know that if you're elected, this is what we're going to start with?
Well, I do have a vision for what I want DeKalb County to be, and as far as, you know, one priority is I look at, the number one priority is always student learning and student growth. That has to be. And when you look at student growth, you got to look at what impacts students the most, and of course the classroom teachers and the instructional leadership they receive and how they move forward. That's really where the rubber meets the road. If my success as a superintendent is not going to be based on how good I am, it's going to be on how I empower, enable, and the resources I provide the teachers and support personnel in my schools to be. They can be successful without me being successful. I can't be successful without them being successful. Right. So I think that's important. And as I met throughout this campaign, when we kicked off on July the 13th, I went out and I talked to a lot of folks. And I hear some great ideas, and I hear some great concerns as well. And by doing that and having communication with people, I've come up with some ideas that people have given me that if I'm elected, I hope to implement, I want to use. But the biggest thing is I want to be out in the schools talking to teachers, getting their ideas, making sure that I'm here to support them and help them and encourage them and empower them and provide resources to them so that they can be successful. And, you know, hear their concerns as that may be, because as I mentioned, I understand my successes will be based on them. Also, innovation of technology and resources, that's a big priority of mine. When we look across the district, across the state, I'm oftentimes reading of different systems going to a one-to-one digital curriculum or you know, a major technology initiative, and I think that's something where DeKalb County is lacking a little bit, to be honest with you. And it is not to say that we have to have a digital curriculum or a one-to-one initiative here, but I think it's time that we, at Collinsville, one thing we've done in our have 4th, 5th, and 6th. So by the end of the year, we hope to have 4th grade through seniors, every grade or content area, have 4th, 5th, and 6th. So by the end of the year, we hope to have 4th grade through seniors, every grade or content area, have a device for their grade or content level that they can use whenever they need it. And that's, like I said, it's not to say that we've got to go to a one-to-one or completely digital initiative, but it's important that on any given day that students have access to that. That way they can go from simply consuming information to producing information and being able to share that information within their classroom, across the county, across the state, nation, as far as it may go. So that's a couple big priorities that I want to start mending some of those relationships and working, communicating with the teachers, building some of that support and implementing some technology.
Okay, that sounds great. Well, I'm going to ask you a hard question for people, because, you know, I don't know if you're like me, but for years we try to hide our weaknesses from the outside world.
Sure.
Our family, they see them very clearly, and, you know, sometimes they point them out readily. But, you know, what would be, in your opinion, would be a weakness that you have that you're going to have to work hard to overcome in this new particular role? I mean, what are you going to struggle with?
Well, you know, being able to reflect on your strengths and your weaknesses is a part of any leader or a professional. It's very important that we be self-reflective and realize this is an area I'm strong in and continue to nurture that and take some lead roles on that, but also to be able to identify these are some areas that I'm not as strong in, I need to continue to grow in, I need to seek out some support, or maybe I need to push some of this and get some help on it. And so that is a very important of any educational or any professional period. One area that I guess I would say my weakness is I'm very hands-on, and I want to be involved in everything, and I sometimes spread myself a little thin doing that, because I want to have my I want to have my pulse on everything. And Leah, my wife, she whenever I was talking to her a little bit about some of the things like that, and I mentioned that, she was very in agreement with that. But I think, you know, being able to delegate some of those roles and responsibilities at a local school, you can keep your hands on a lot of things. At a superintendent, you've oftentimes, and we've got some great team members. We've got some people that are very committed and dedicated to do a great work here in DeKalb County, and it's important that we, you know, trust those people and that we work with them, equip them with all the tools, training, and prepare them to do those things. So I think that's probably one area that I do hope to focus on improving personally and professionally.
Well, I would say that would be probably one of mine as well, because when you're an OCD person, you want to make sure everything's done just in a certain way. I want to talk a little bit about athletics versus academics. There's nothing wrong with athletics. I've been a tennis coach, I'm a football announcer, and a basketball clock operator. But I wonder how you view the importance that athletics sometimes plays priority level at a school over academics. So how do you plan to address that and keep us all focused and keep everything in perspective? Maybe that's a better way.
Athletics is a great part of our school. It's what keeps a lot of kids in school. What helps a lot of kids graduate, and it is very important. And in fact, for our local communities, unless they have children in school, that may be the only time they come on our school campus, and that may be the only experience they have of our school, especially if they're from a different community. When they come on to our campus for a football game or a basketball game or a tennis match or whatever it may be, that's the perception they leave of our school. And it's important that we do those things. But as I've thought long and hard about it, one of the things we've tried to do a little bit at Collinsville is, we interweave athletics into our school day. Sometimes we have pep rallies for football every Friday night. If some of our athletic teams, do well in our morning announcements, we'll make sure to make an announcement that they're doing well. Hey, they won the ball game. They did good. And congratulations on winning these contests or whatever it may be. I think one way that helps shift that is that I don't know why we can't interweave some of our academics into some of our athletics. That way, at halftime of a football game or a basketball game, there's no reason why we can't honor a beta club as you sponsor and done well with, or just a math team, or just some individual students who made all A's, or a robotics team or something. That way it brings the academics to the athletic field and shows, hey, this is a priority of our school. It's something that we do cherish, we do value, we're doing our best to do it. And then they walk with people who, maybe their children are grown or they don't have children yet. They walk away that evening, or maybe they're from a different community and say, hey, I enjoyed that. Those kids in that school, they compete on the athletic field, but they also compete in the classroom. It was evident by what they had set up when we come into school. It was evident by the accolades they bestowed on their students at halftime or in between innings or whatever it may be. And I think that's one way that help create a climate or a culture that embraces both of them. And of course, obviously, academics, that's what we're there for. That is the most important thing. But it is important that we have a well-rounded school with all the extracurricular, athletics, band, arts, so forth.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I think that's a great idea, something to do at a sporting event that I've not seen. I'm sure it's probably being done. That's a great idea of meshing the two together to show those people who only come to athletic event, basketball, football, baseball, what you're doing academically. Another thing that's probably really big in our state is career tech education. Businesses and community leaders, legislators are really pushing career technical education. How do you view what we're doing in DeKalb County? And I think in my new particular role as being a career coach, I'm seeing a whole lot more, maybe a different side of our educational process that I didn't know before.
Sure.
And so I'm having a ball. So tell me what you think about our technology center across the road. Where you think we're headed, or you think we're in a good place, is there work to do, that kind of deal?
Well, first of all, I think the vocational school has done a great job. I think they've done a good job, and I'm proud of the work they do. Career Tech is taken on a major emphasis over the last few years. It's kind of come back years ago. It kind of faded away, and there was a lot of labor type training that went out there, and so some people kind of distinguished that you either had to go on a labor track or academic track, but over the last few years that has kind of changed a good bit. And in order for for a business or industry to relocate to a place and to make our area viable, one of the biggest indicators of economic development is the quality of schools. And when businesses are looking to relocate here, they're looking at academics. They're looking, of course, at those college-bound students that are seeing how they're being prepared, whether they reach. But they're also looking for a skilled workforce that can produce whatever it is that their plant produces. So it's important that we have both of those areas. It's very important to stay viable. in today's career technical, it's a training force where it engages a lot of academics, it engages a lot of job-related skills, critical thinking, and it pushes them to where they can be job ready when they graduate. Of course, it prepares them to go on to a technical college as well to make sure that they can continue that. I think that we've done a good job. I would like to see the program continue to expand. I think there's a lot of programs, some computer science program, physical and sport programs that could be implemented, business, accounting, some of those type of things that could be put out here that would be great and serve our area. One thing the Board of Education did just a few weeks ago is they have enacted what they call an adjunct teacher. And what they do is the school system to hire somebody part-time, a half of the day. They can only work half a day. They can't receive any of the benefits or retirement or that sort of stuff, but they can work half a day. And where I see that benefit in career technical is that it will allow us to put some of our vocational training in the school system, in the local schools. Whereas somebody maybe they do accounting and they can work on school law enforcement, multimedia design, that sort of stuff, and put it in a local school. That way, of course, we'd still have a major need for our vocational school because you can't have a auto body shop on every campus. Mm-hmm. You can't have some of those things, but that would perhaps put some of those programs at the local school that kids who may have been hesitant to come out here to Rainsville for whatever reason, but it would put them in a position where they could get that training at their local school. So I think that's something where that adjunct teacher may not necessarily use it for a math class or a science class or an elementary class or anything like that, but I think vocational training is where that right there can really impact education in a positive manner, especially here locally, to put some of those programs in a local school versus them having to board a bus and come out here, because we've got schools that are very close in proximity to the vocational schools, and it may be easier on those, but some of our schools, it's a 25-30 minute bus trip one way, and they're just hesitant to come sometimes, although we do our best to encourage them, because I think at the end of the day, what they're going to do in their career and their life is the most, getting prepared and trained for that is one of the most important things we do.
Well, and the other thing is the expense of college education that some kids are strapped with when they come out of a four-year institution, where if they could go through the career technical route, they would not have that great expense. And plus, there's great salaries out there.
Absolutely.
If you just know where to look.
Absolutely, you're absolutely right. And also with the dual enrollment, so many grants through Northeast and SNEED and Gadsden State. Of course, we work very closely with Northeast here, but there's so many grants that are available if you to do a career class, a vocational class, that you can take one of the dual enrollment classes, get a scholarship for that as well. So that helps students in a variety of means. It's really important. Yeah.
It very is, and I appreciate that and that support, and that's a really neat idea about the adjunct teacher at the local school. I know we're strapped for space across the road, and I guess I'm very passionate because that's my new place.
Right.
But I do know criminal justice is coming in the fall, and I'm very happy about that. There's a lot of other things I'm sure we'd love to add if we had the space, but maybe in time that will happen.
And a lot of the culinary arts and some of that stuff, they're also taught at the local school, so it would be easier to kind of weave some of those hospitality type programs like Fort Payne City has and a few other places. You might ease those into a local school, maybe even easier than you could at a vocational center.
That may be. It costs a great deal to set up that classroom. Sure. With some of the technology and equipment that you need to have some of them, for sure. Well, tell us something about you that nobody knows. And I'll give you can tell whatever you want to, but I used to be a radio DJ here in a local radio station years ago and loved it. Now, it was so much fun. I just ran out of time of getting the opportunity to do that. But just tell us something about you that you normally just don't go out and broadcast.
Your experience as a radio DJ was a perfect segue into this career here in Mountain Valley, wasn't it?
I have heard that I have the gift of gab, so maybe there may be.
Well, good deal. That's probably the most difficult question out there. I'm typically an open book. What you see is what you get. I am what I am. I am who I am. As I was thinking over this a little bit, like I said, it's probably the most difficult question. One thing that people may not necessarily know about me is I am a barbecue aficionado.
Okay.
Me and my wife, we would go on vacations, before we had children especially, we would go on vacation just specifically to hit certain barbecue joints in places. Ribs and brisket and pulled pork and smoked chicken, anything like that. And I couldn't necessarily get exactly what I wanted around, I had a certain style, so I just started trying to prepare it myself. And I cooked ribs for probably a year straight every weekend, trying to get them exactly like I like them. And so I finally got them. And so that people probably know I like barbecue, but they may not necessarily know. And I actually went on to be a certified Kansas City Barbecue Society barbecue judge. So I can judge barbecue competitions and that sort of stuff. So that's kind of one of those things that, like I said, people probably know I enjoy barbecue, but they may not know the extent of my passion for that.
Well, you should have given that credential when you were giving your others, because I'm telling you, barbecue is my thing, and I can't wait to have the party where you supply the ribs.
All right, we'll do
I will come and be a taste tester.
The inauguration.
Okay. You heard that right here. We've got it on video. As the superintendent of DeKalb County Board of Education, we're probably one of the largest employers in our county. How do you view your role as superintendent to be a lobbyist at legislative events with the legislature down in Montgomery? Because everything we have, and that's one thing I don't think the public often realizes, everything that a school board employee has comes from the state legislature. Absolutely. Be it retirement, benefits, insurance, salaries, classroom supplies, technologies you mentioned before. So what's your role, or what do you see your role as that champion for the people in your local that you are asking to come to work for you?
As you just mentioned, when in the business of education, everything we receive is pretty much dependent on the legislature. The budget we receive, the formula for our hiring for our teachers, they set the formula for that. They deal with, like I said, retirement systems, insurance, and all that kind of stuff. So that helps with attracting personnel and all that stuff. But anyway, it's very important to have a great relationship with the legislature. And in DeKalb County, we're fortunate with some legislators that really care about our local schools. And we're also in a unique position. We have 9 elected officials that go to Montgomery that are represent at least a portion of us. In the Senate, we've got Clay Schofield, Senator Livingston, and Senator Phil Williams. In the House of Representatives, we've got 6, of course, Representative Nathaniel Ledbetter. He has most of DeKalb County. But we also have Kerry Rich, Becky Nordgren, Will Ainsworth, Representative Haynes, and Representative Richard Lindsay. So there's 9 people. And since I've announced this, actually before I announced, many of them I'd already spoken to, but since then, most certainly I've spoken to every one of them and shared my passion and my vision and my ideas for the DeKalb County schools, and every one of them have been met with great optimism about what we can do here in DeKalb County. And they want to support and they want to help, but it's very important to build those relationships, and I have built those relationships. But beyond just those guys, it's important to build relationships with our local surrounding superintendents. Superintendents Association is a group that works together to help do good things for education, and having strong relationships with the superintendents around here locally that connect us is very important to help advocate for us, because there's power in numbers. Mm-hmm. Also, the state superintendent, Tommy Bice, I've been fortunate enough to meet with him on a few occasions, have some good conversations with him, and I know he has some good vision, good ideas, and wants DeKalb County to do well. Of course, State Board of Education members. Mary Scott Hunter, she's elected to represent us on the State Board of Education. I've contacted her and had many conversations with her, and she's been willing to hear any concerns or ideas or anything that I have. So I have already built a good relationship. And it's important that we be a voice for them. This past, I guess it was maybe March, maybe April, I was in Montgomery for a mandatory athletic association meeting. And as I was there, I went down to the State House for a little bit, wanted to sit in and watch business for a few moments. And of course, the Speaker of the House, he always introduces guests. And he mentioned a couple of superintendents. I can't remember exactly what district they were from, but somewhere around the central part of the state. And I went over and introduced myself, and I just said, talk to me a little bit about your relationship with your state representative. And basically, he said, we asked our state representative to come to Montgomery and advocate for us, and I'm going to come down here and support him. And if he supports us, I'm going to go back. I'm going to tell everybody just how he supports us. If he doesn't, then me and him are going to have a conversation, and we're going to see what we can do to make sure he understands. And we may not always see eye to eye. May not always see eye to eye, but it's important to have that dialogue and hopefully exchange ideas, and hopefully you can come together on more than you can.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you another question along those same lines. Our educational support professionals oftentimes make a very low wage, and a lot of times the reason they're working, and I actually heard of a bus driver today say that the majority of our people who are support people oftentimes work because they need the benefit of the insurance, because healthcare is very expensive nowadays. Right. So how can we depend on you to help fight off the privatization? And what that basically means is hiring somebody to come in at a less wage, don't offer them any benefits, to try to cut costs. So what are your views on that? Well,
that's a good question. It's a great question. Education support personnel play a very vital role in the education of our schools. The bus driver who picks them up, first person they see many times is the bus driver who picks them up. The person who feeds them breakfast and lunch every day is the support personnel. If they get sick and need cared for, that's the education support personnel. The people who help keep things cleaned and maintained, our maintenance department, our people who keep schools tidy, clean, maintained. People who keep schools tidy, clean, maintained. That's education support staff. Sure, there are many districts across the state that are privatizing that, and they're doing so to cut bottom dollar and save some money, but there's always a return on investment. You know, at Collinsville, I can speak to that. We've got education support personnel that are so committed to our school. If a bus driver comes up sick or has an emergency and can't make a route, you know, it's no problem to get our bus drivers to help. You know, they may make a double route, or we may split them up, which may create some issues for them, having to go further mileage, spend extra time, but they're always willing to do that. We've got custodians that every time the doors are open to that school, no matter whether it be a PTO meeting, whether it be a parental involvement meeting, whether it be an athletic event, they are there, and they're committed to that school. Same way with our CMP staff and other people. I mean, they're committed to our schools. They go out of the way to make sure, and it's typically because either they're a part of that community, or they have children, grandchildren, or some other connection to that community. They want to see it successful. So sure, you can, you know, privatize some of that and do it on a contract basis, but a lot of times what you're going to get is a high turnover rate. You're going to get a high turnover rate. People aren't going to necessarily be as committed to that school or that job as they would otherwise be. So I think it's important that they support us, and they do a lot of work for us and take care of us. So I think it's important that we do the same, for them.
Well, if I were an education support professional, I'd say thank you very much for that, because we want to keep them, and they are dedicated. And when I started teaching a long time ago, my dad said you make friends with three people: the secretary, the lunch lady, and the janitor. You
Absolutely.
Make those three people happy, you got it made.
Life's a lot better.
We just have a few minutes left in our discussion today, and I'm just wanting you to take just a few minutes to share with that voter that's undecided. Mm-hmm. How are you going to convince them that Dr. Jason Barnett is the one they need to go in and push the button for you?
Well, as I hopefully these questions that I've answered here today have helped give you an idea of who I am, what I am. Also one of the biggest points of my campaign has been accessibility or communication. Now, I want to be accessible to you and make sure that you have a way to contact me and I can communicate with you. I want to have in meetings, not only you reach out to me, I want to reach out to you as superintendent. I want to be involved in active in local schools and every community. I encourage you to reach out to me. Since we've announced, I've received thousands of phone calls, emails, Facebook messages, and whatnot. Every single one of them I've returned and responded to, and had some dialogue with people who were concerned about their child's education or their grandchildren or just their schools in general. And so that's important. My website is drjasonbarnett.com, drjasonbarnett.com. You can find me on Facebook. Just search for Barnett for Superintendent. My cell phone number is 256-717-3. Love to have your vote. I need your vote. I'm asking for your vote. And so if you have any questions, or if there's any way that I can help make you decide to vote for me, I need your support. I also need you, if you support me, I need you to encourage others to vote for me. You, the voter, will have a major impact over our children's education, over the quality of schools in DeKalb County for the next 4 years here with this election. And I'm asking you to take an active role. Research this out. Research me out. And if you find that I'm somebody that you want to support, I encourage you to not only support me, but get 2 or 3 people to support me, and we can have a very viable, loud voice. Communication. It's where ideas are formed, where they're shared, where they're improved, and how they're passed on. The superintendent's office should be open for business. Parents, teachers, community members, anyone who has an interest in their child's education should have the ability to reach out to their school superintendent. Not only reach out to him, but to have him come to their communities and in their schools and hear their questions, hear their ideas, and work together to improve our students' education. I'm Jason Barnett, and you should expect more for your child's education.